Hello y'all, this is post-training bath time, hotel edition. I wonder if people think it's weird or like inappropriate that I film while I'm in the tub, but it's fine to me. I really don't care. I like baths and I take them as often as humanly possible. So I just want to tell you this, if you're like me and you don't drink alcohol but you like alternative drinks, I just want to highly recommend this new, I think it's a new flavor of the GT's kombucha. California citrus is friggin' delicious. I just wanted to share a little thing, and this is not virtue signaling. This is not my intention with what I'm about to say, but just I want to share an idea. So one of the hardest jobs, I've had a lot of hard jobs, a lot of dirty jobs, and one of the hardest and dirtiest jobs I've ever had, which I did for a super short period of time. There's a hotel on my college campus, and it was during a winter break, so it was just a couple of weeks, and I just, for some reason, I ended up staying on campus a lot during that break, and I decided to go work in the hotel. And I, as a maid, you know, basically, and it was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, right up there with that factory job that I described in one of my other recent videos. Ever since having had that job, which is always a low-paying job, it's often done by people who are immigrants or people who are from marginalized communities, people who are willing to take really hard, low-paying jobs, let's put it that way, that are thankless and often horrible because you're being exposed to the grossness that people leave behind without giving a shit, you know? Like the worst of the worst in hotel rooms. And I was only doing it for a super short time, so I can only imagine what some people see. So, just a little PSA for you. If you want to be an awesome person and just make yourself feel good for doing something nice, here's a couple things that I recommend doing when you stay in a hotel. If you're staying for several days, put that do not disturb sign out so they don't have to clean your room every day and change your sheets all the time and stuff. Stripping the bed is very hard on your body, especially your back, your shoulders, when you're doing it all day long. So I know a lot of these people, mostly women, almost all women, have like sore backs when they're doing this stuff. So either put that sign out so they don't have to clean your room if it doesn't have to be done every day, or strip the bed for them and put the bedding on top of the bed so they don't have to bend over to pick it up. It's something that small that makes their job that much easier to clean that one room. Another thing is I always tip them. And even if it's just a few bucks, anytime I'm having my room cleaned, I know hotels are expensive and people are like, that's fucking stupid. And a lot of people look at these jobs sort of like people who do those jobs, well, it's their fault or they deserve it for some reason. I fully disagree with that. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people end up in the types of jobs that they end up in. And I don't think they deserve to be like judged for that or expected to do things that are harder or whatever. I really don't mean this to be one of my fucking long PSAs, but here we are. Towels, like, if you are having your room cleaned but you're staying there longer, you know, same thing as with the bedding, like put them in a neat pile on the bed or whatever, like make it easier for them to work around it. And also one final thing is leave them a nice note to say thank you. I cannot tell you, especially having waited tables, when a customer writes a nice note on your receipt, it seems like nothing, but it makes your day. Even if they don't tip that well, it can make your day for someone to say thank you so much for the great service, or like you're awesome, or anything that people might write on a receipt. So there's always a little pad of paper and a pen in a hotel room, pretty much always. Write a little note, say, housekeeper, thank you so much for your hard work, I appreciate you. Leave them $5, leave them $10, like something like that to someone doing such a hard, low-paying job can make such a difference in their day and make them feel like someone sees me, because those jobs make people feel truly invisible. So be cool, do that. And I did that today. I left a little note because I really wanted my sheets changed. It would be the first time they were changed since I've been here in like a week, which is fine, you know, I don't need them changed every day. The housekeeper left me a really sweet note back, and it made my day. It made me happy, and it made me feel good. And it's like, you know, just to get a little bit deeper, I've struggled so much in my life with mental health, with depression, with like struggles with deep self-loathing. And one of the things that I have done in working on myself is start to like openly express more kindness toward other people, especially strangers. And it's a little bit selfish because it makes me feel really good, but it's like knowing what it means to another person. They carry that with them. That person maybe took that note and stuck it in their pocket, and, you know, it's something they can look at and be like, there's someone who gives a shit about me, you know? So It's little things, but it really helps to build you up. If you're a person who's struggling with your feelings about yourself, I would really encourage you, if you can't, because sometimes there's like, you can't fathom self-love, because I used to be in that place where I didn't believe that it was possible to love myself. I mean it. I really used to feel like that. One of the ways that I've gradually built up my feelings of compassion toward myself and love toward myself is by deliberately doing kind things toward others and saying kind things and even just smiling at people. Sometimes it's really hard and it takes practice to do these things. It's not something that might come naturally when you don't feel it, you know, but it can help you rebuild your mental health. It helped me, I'm telling you. So that was the more you know thing. If you didn't get it, I'm gonna get back to my shower. I mean, bath, whatever. Dusty, windy, dusty day at the yard. I can even hear it in my voice when I speak now. And this is going to be a little bit of a health PSA. This is something I've told so many people about, and people get weirded out by this idea. This is a filtered neti pot. It's a Sinus rinse, and it comes with these saline packets, and they're pre-measured to be the appropriate amount for that particular neti pot. Some people might be familiar with the type of neti pot that's shaped kind of like a genie lamp. This you hold up right. This is leaking, unfortunately, but I prefer this method because it has a built-in filter. That's what this is in the bottom. You should never use a neti pot with tap water because there can be microbes in the water that can cause like amoebas to get in your brain and eat your brain. I want to talk about this for a minute because I have a long history of sinus illnesses, respiratory illnesses that were very severe at times. And the number one thing I did wrong was smoking cigarettes, which thankfully I quit. So if you have chronic sinus issues, you may already know this. Using a vaporizer next to your bed at night, even in warmer months, can be really helpful, but especially if you live in a colder climate. You probably already know this. It bears repeating though, because like sometimes you've heard that or you may have done it, but it's like a pain in the ass. But it's worth it to do the pain in the ass things if you feel better. So anyway, I'm going to use this neti pot so you can see it. And the nice thing about this is that this type of neti pot doesn't tend to go back up into your sinuses. If you're grossed out by watching water go up into someone's nose and come back out, then stop watching this part and skip ahead like 30 seconds, okay? Let's see here. This is me being as sexy as I could possibly be. And what's nice about this is because you hold it upright like that, you don't have to tip your head. Those other styles of neti pots tend to make it easier for the water to go up into your sinuses. I have no irritation, no burning. It already feels so much better. I've been sneezing like crazy lately, and I rarely sneeze normally, but it's because I've been breathing in a lot of dust every day on this job. So a lot of trucking jobs are dirty. A lot of times we're driving and stuff is going in through our air vents, and this is a really awesome practice to make your sinuses feel better and help you breathe better. Anything that makes you breathe better is going to improve your health. Sorry if I'm talking to you with stuff dripping out of my nose, but I just wanted to share this important PSA. The more you know. Guys, welcome back. Another hotel room video. I'm feeling like my sinuses are irritated from breathing in so much dust And I will have a link in the description for where to get one of those filtered neti pots on Amazon, because that thing is awesome. So I want to just give you an update on training. Training is going a little bit better this week, partly because the weather is so much better. I am definitely having a lot less pain, and I think that's part of it. I've been dealing with some frustration, which is, normal for training, and feeling like there's certain concepts that I could be learning in a different way that might be better for me, but you just have to deal with the situation as it comes. The thing that I probably struggle with the most, other than just being bad at backing because I'm new at it, that to me is a normal thing. I know it's going to be a process to get better at it. For some reason, I feel like I should be able to learn it and get it in my head and then do it, but it's not as easy as I think it is. It can be weird and hard to visualize what you're trying to do. But the other thing that I suck at is the tablet. And I was working on it with one instructor, and what kept happening, and this is what happened at the previous job too, that frustrates me, is the instructor will be like, okay, now hit this, now hit this, now hit this. And they're basically telling you what to do, but they're not explaining the reason behind what you're doing. So you don't feel like you're understanding the reason for what you're doing at each step of the process. And therefore you're not retaining it, because you're just like, okay, well, I'm pressing the buttons they're telling me to press, and I kind of get why, but I don't fully get it. Then I had an instructor, I worked with a different instructor for part of the day today, and he said something that I wish they all would say: this is your money. He's like, this is your money, the tablet is your money. And like, basically, if you're gonna fuck it up all the time, the dispatchers are not gonna give you loads in as much time. They're gonna let you sit and wait. And I was like, they all need to say this to us. It's funny because I've had this sort of similar experiences at other jobs where there was an aspect of the job that I wasn't doing right, because I tend to look at things the wrong way. Like, I look at the emotions of things. I'm thinking about stuff that is so unrelated to like the task at hand. I'm thinking about the people I'm working with and wondering about their lives, and I'm like thinking about all kinds of shit that doesn't relate to the money, the real reason why I'm there. And it's like, you need someone to point out whatever the thing is at the job you're doing and be like, this is your money. You have to understand this thing. And if you get this thing, then you can worry about all this other shit. That's always been a hard thing for me. It's like, am I a space cadet? I don't know what it is about me. I think I don't take anything seriously enough, because this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's the truth. I just always come back to this in my mind. None of this is real. I say that shit in my head so many times a day, because it's like, this is one layer of reality. We don't even understand the real nature of reality. Like, there are aliens that have visited Earth, and like the military have seen them and videoed them and all this stuff. And like, we're all just here acting like the shit we're doing is important when we're like these primitive, I don't know. Maybe that's weird. Maybe that's a silly mindset, but it's just real. It's just my truth, guys. That's the fun part of my video. That's the silly part. The more serious thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't want to get all serious, I don't mean that, but I wanted to discuss a little bit about the way that I approach subjects in my videos. And there was a comment made on my last video because he was upset by what I wrote, or by what I said in my video, and it was in regard to gender and him feeling like I was attacking masculinity. A goal of my channel is to be as authentic as I possibly can, just to be my true self and to share the reality of the way I think about things, in hopes of like not just finding people who think like me, but in reaching people who don't think like me and having some sort of discourse, even if we don't agree. One of the things that just really bums me out in life, and I think it does relate to me having a journalism background, and just for context, I wrote for my college paper for a couple of years. I wrote a weekly column that was really widely read, and it was published in other college newspapers as well at times, kind of often. I wrote for a small community newspaper in the western suburbs of Chicago, so I had, somewhat of an audience in that, although that was a really different kind of vibe than college, of course, where you can get away with a lot. I learned during that time that it's really important to write to an audience that is diverse. And I learned to enjoy that experience of like thinking harder about what I had to say and caring about what I say in a way that I don't want to alienate people. Even if I'm saying something I know that some people might disagree with, I want to say it in a way that respects the fact that different people see things differently. This was all before Facebook when I was having that experience. And I don't use Facebook anymore because it's a hate fest, and I don't want to feed into a lot of the negativity that comes out of that. I think it's a really negative force in the world. I think it's affected the way that we all approach discourse, the way that we all approach communication. And I don't want my channel to devolve. I never want it to be like a drama channel. I don't want to invite any kind of a hateful audience or hateful commentary or create a situation where I'm like lashing out and then people are lashing back, because that does not help anyone. And a big goal of me doing Facebook is to like be a source of positive energy in the world, you know, like people don't have to agree with me. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe someone can watch some of what I say and be like, I like this person, but I don't always like what they have to say. I want us to like learn to find ways to respect each other no matter whether we agree or not, you know? So back to this comment. So this guy was offended by what I said. In my last video, I was kind of complaining about like being irritated by certain male energy and just wanting to be like, get the fuck out of here with that stuff. And his comment was something to the effect of, I want you to go back and listen to your video and hear yourself, and sort of something to the effect of like, if the shoe was on the other foot, if someone was talking that way about women, how would you feel? I think that his perspective is probably common among a lot of men, especially men in the trucking space. And those are people I want to reach. I want to reach you. If you don't agree with me, I want to reach you, because I respect your right to disagree with me, and I don't want us to hate each other because we disagree, maybe on some pretty inflammatory shit. I want to get real cheesy right here and be like, we are one. We're all connected. I fucking believe that in my heart of hearts. And if you're watching this, I love you because I love me. I love us. You know, like, I think that so much of what divides us is fabricated for fucking profit, and I don't want us to fall into those traps. And we can feel like we vehemently disagree on certain things, but we can still find love and respect for each other. I want us to all try to do that. I want to try to do that. And it takes effort, because listen, where I come from is a place of recovery, and I'm not talking about my substance use recovery that I've talked about. I'm talking about recovery from bigotry, where I was raised around continuous, ongoing racist rhetoric, sexist, homophobic, just misogynistic. That's the kind of dialogue that was just fed to me from the time I can remember, and it's taken effort for me to distance myself from that and to change the way I think. I think these things are important, because I think harboring hate it's like holding on to cancer cells inside you and like feeding them, and none of us wants that. This is getting long as fuck. Okay, when I say things in my videos, I really pay attention to what I say, and I do watch and rewatch, because the process of making and editing videos for me is very similar to the writing process and the way I used to approach writing columns. So I would choose a subject matter and write about it and kind of have an idea of what I wanted to say and go back and edit. And always, like, part of having a naturally empathetic nature is is that you can't not hear yourself through other people. I'm not trying to say negative things about the people who watch my channel. I'm just saying there's an array of perspectives. I hope that those people can hear what I have to say and just take a moment to think about it a little bit, or more importantly, notice their own responses, their internal emotional gut reaction, and then stop and keep noticing that about yourself and think about where it comes from and the reasoning behind it. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to tell people they need to change or that they're bad or wrong for the way that they feel. I just think we all have to think about where we're coming from and the whys behind whys, WHY''S, whys. No, that wouldn't be right. That would be possessive. You know what I mean, I think. I just want us all to be thoughtful about why we feel the way we do. I want us to think about it as like exercise to not hate, because it takes actual ongoing effort for us to not be hateful toward one another, because of the kind of world that we live in and the way culture has evolved and all that stuff, and social media and toxicity in the world. And if you don't agree with me, I don't hate you. I just think that you probably have a different kind of cultural context that you're coming from. I respect your right to your feelings. I just want us all to like deepen the dialogue and get out of the surface. And I just want us all to keep it respectful, because it's okay to disagree. We don't have to hate each other because we have different feelings about stuff. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Drinking some nice hot tea out of my favorite mug.
I am feeling very not well this evening, which I'm sure you can hear in my speaking. I have a sinus infection. I used to get really severe sinus infections and bronchitis, especially when I was a cigarette smoker, which is what led me to quitting, among other things. This is probably the worst sinus infection I've had in years, and I'm really surprised. And I was freaking out thinking I might have COVID, which I have dodged that bullet. I have to set this down so I can knock on wood. I've dodged that bullet for over 2 years, and I'm not gonna get that shit now, damn it. Went and took a couple of home tests, and they were both negative, so that's pretty cool. I'm just hoping those tests were accurate. I'm assuming they are. Probably still wear a mask though, because I'm like sneezing a lot. It started last week when it stopped raining and the dust started getting stirred up in the yard that we're working in. Holy crap, I've started sneezing a little bit and then a little bit more and a little bit more. Today it was like full on sinus infection, and it's really unpleasant, so I am not enjoying that. And then so we did a 100-mile drive today, and then went and had lunch and drove back, and it was like a bunch of trainees. I drove out there and another trainee drove back. This tea is so good. It's like a relaxing nighttime tea that has like valerian and lavender and stuff. I can't even taste it though. Oh, that's so good. I needed that right now. And I took a hot bath. I feel like putting a hot compress on my face. It's funny because you may be seeing this after I showed a video where I was using my sinus cleanse and like, look, this keeps my sinuses healthy, and it normally does. This is a very rare occurrence for me, so it feels weird, and it's kind of kicking my ass. And tomorrow's Friday. I really don't want to go to training tomorrow. I wish I could be done. But so check this out. This morning, we all get in there. One of the head instructors, or the head instructor, comes in, has one of the people leave. Then, much to my surprise, this head instructor tells all of us in there, which is most of the people in my group, that we're all being held back an additional week because our trainers said that we weren't ready. And I was like, bah? I was so surprised because I didn't have any indication other than my tablet, my understanding of the tablet. The way it is taught is unnecessarily confusing. Like, I don't feel like it's being taught, at least with who I've worked with, it hasn't been taught in a way that is easy to make sense of at all. I used to get really down on myself whenever something like this would happen, but I'm totally not, because at this stage in my life, being a middle-aged person and having had a lot of experience in different types of training, being trained in different things, different jobs, different types of education, I'm pretty aware of what my strengths and weaknesses are. I know that I'm an intelligent person and I'm capable of learning things, and if I'm struggling to learn something, a lot of times there's a disconnect there, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just like, this person is teaching this in a way that isn't clicking with me, or for whatever reason I'm not absorbing it. And it's not that I don't need to like beat myself up or be like I'm an idiot because I didn't get this down, or I don't care, because also the thing is, once you get this shit down, you're going to have it down and it's going to be fine. So they told us we have to be there another week, and I was like, really? And the person who dictated whether or not we were ready to move on to our week out on the road with our trainer was the person that we were working with for the last like week or week and a half. As diplomatically as I can say this, the person that was training me and another trainee, that person and I were not clicking. Like, not trying to say anything negative about the person, but our styles of like learning / teaching were not a mesh at all. So I really realized that even more today, because today I got to work with one of the head instructors. The change was so helpful, and the instructor that was like an higher level instructor, one of the first things we did was go out to the yard and practice backing. And I was like, why is this guy not teaching all the other trainers how to teach backing? I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to sound insulting, because like trainers all have different styles, but I guess what I would say as like the summation of it is that who we had today, this guy, partly due to having a military background, when other guys do too. And I actually really like that, because I like the approach that they take. They tend to be very cut and dried and efficient in the way that they explain things, which I think is so much easier to learn from a person who does that. This guy was awesome, and I felt where before I would be trying to back for like 15 minutes into the same spot and just going out of my mind, like, this is so much harder than it needs to be. I'm jacking the shit out of my neck because it's taking me so long and I'm having to turn myself around so much. I'm not kidding you. It took like 5 minutes or less to get it right in the hole. Like, efficient. He made it make so much more sense. He simplified it so much, and I was like, I love you. Like, and I said to him, I was like, why don't you teach all the other trainers how to teach that so it's not stressful? I couldn't fucking believe it, dude. I was just like, I've been so hard on myself because I've been sucking at backing. Like, I wish I could show you. I wish you could see what I'm talking about, and you would be like, oh God, no wonder you had such a hard time. Because the people that I was not able to be successful with were not explaining it in a series of simple steps. If this, then this. If this, then this. One of the things that he told me today that was like such a fucking duh kind of moment, and I was mad that no one else said this to me before because it's so simple. To turn the wheel completely one way is 4 full turns. So to get it back to straight is 2 turns back. And I was like, really? No one said this to me before? Because that avoids you having to stick your whole fucking body out the window and look like an idiot, which a lot of older old school drivers would be like, yeah, you look dumb when you do that. You don't have to do that. You can just know how far you turn the wheel and know how far you're turning it back, and it's so much less annoying, and it does the job so much better. I'm trying not to let my ego get in the way. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed. If I need longer to learn certain concepts, fine, fuck it, because to be honest with you, I would much rather stay in this hotel for 1 more week than start moving out of my old apartment and deal with all that right now. That would actually make my life a little bit easier. I am not so cocky as to think I'm just awesome and I'm great at everything and I'm ready to roll. I'm not. That's fine, and it's okay to admit that. I'm not ever going to try to be a super trucker. That's not who I am. I welcome criticism because that's how you get better. And if you're a brand new trucker who just got your CDL a matter of months ago, you're not going to be great at anything. And if you think you are, you're probably not. Either way, I'm ready for whatever outcome. I was irritated when they told me this morning, and I said so. I was like, they didn't give us any reason to think that we weren't ready, and then all of a sudden we're finding out that we're not being passed through. I quickly redirected myself, and that's kind of something I was talking about in my last video. One of the cool things that's happened over these last years that I've been working really hard on myself and sort of like getting real with myself, getting honest with myself, and noticing. It makes me think of how in yoga we would think of it as like deep listening, I guess, and meditation practice and stuff. Things that get you to sort of slow down. I used to be a highly reactive person. If something bad happened, like a rejection, I would just absolutely lose my shit. What happened today, being told that I was going to have to be held back, that's like a type of rejection. It's like, you're not good enough, And the old me would have probably taken that really hard. And the current me was like, I expressed that I was irritated in a pretty calm way. I was like, I'm frustrated because this is another week of very low training pay, which sucks. I said that. I don't care. I'm at a point when you get to a certain age, and I'm not old, but I'm old enough. I think speaking your mind is healthy. And sometimes that really makes people uncomfortable, but I don't care because I know how to say things honestly but still be respectful. I expressed my displeasure, but then I thought about it and I was like, well, then you come to acceptance. And it was funny because the guy that presented this to us is like this hard ass. He's ex-military, but not the same one that took us out on the road today. This guy is ex-military, and he looks like current military. The way he carries himself, he has like this beautiful straight posture. He exudes confidence and authority, He basically said it to us as if he was offering us an option. And I said, so another week is the only option, right? And he basically was like, yeah, or part ways, And it was really funny. It was like, so there isn't an alternative? I immediately sat there. I was irritated, but I sat with the feeling of irritation. I sat with the reality of the fact that a choice had been made about my near future that was not within my control. And I thought about how I could change the way I felt about it and the way I saw it, the way I saw the situation. And I said to myself, well, they're providing me with another week in the hotel. He said that right off the bat. I'm in a comfortable situation. I don't mind that being a little bit longer. I had just been saying to myself the day before, I was like, I wish I had stayed in this hotel for another week, because after that, man, I'm going through so much shit. I gotta move all of my stuff out of one apartment, move a bunch of stuff into storage, move into the trainer's truck, then move into my own truck, then move into another apartment when I'm home for 2 days at a time. It's a lot, and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm sick on top of it right now, which kind of sucks. I just am sharing this because like I'm kind of a success story, because I used to be so fucking messed up. And I'm here to tell you that if you struggle with reactivity and like you can't handle when negative shit happens or rejection, you freak out and you feel like you're never going to get better at that, it can get better. Trust me, because I'm living proof of it. I was able to be like, well, okay, here are the positives. Staying in the hotel another week and getting help with things and getting better at the skills that I've already developed and feeling even more prepared once I do go out on the road. So if they keep us another week, fine. That's cool. If they don't, fine. I will adapt either way because I'm an adaptive person and I can handle stress. It's like being able to sort of say that stuff to yourself is really helpful. That is pretty much my summary for today. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn this light off. I'm going to put a hot compress on my face for a little bit because my freaking face hurts. And I'm going to crash out as early as possible. So yeah, that's my Thursday in a nutshell. Happy Friday. I can say that now because I had a little time to calm myself. I took a hot bath with Epsom salts per usual, and I had an extraordinarily frustrating day. I actually had a breakdown in front of an instructor, which I never want to do. And I always sort of tread this line between believing that you should allow your emotions to be authentic, but also wanting to remain calm and stable under stress and show that I can do that, especially in these types of situations. So it's kind of a weird thing. The tears I was crying were tears of rage. No, I'm trying to find the most diplomatic way to sort of provide an honest summary of my reflections on the way training has been handled at the company that I started working with. I think what is the most difficult thing is just having a background in instructing people, especially lay people who are really struggling to pick up a skill. Granted, what I had to teach was markedly less dangerous than truck driving. Also, having spent a long period of my life in a relationship with a teacher who was a great teacher, and having been in, a student almost all of my first 23 years of life I was in school, have strong feelings about what it means to be a good, qualified, and effective teacher. And I sort of take it personally when things aren't being done the right way. And I know I need to let go of that because this is trucking, and trucking companies, they're never going to be great. They're always going to break you down. That's the nature of the business, I think. I don't think there is one trucking company on earth that doesn't on some level carry out its actions in ways that lead to its employees feeling just broken down, frustrated, and wanting to walk out the door. I felt like that today. I felt like I wanted to walk out the door. But I know that's not something I'm going to do because it's going to be the same kind of crap in other places that I go to. My ultimate frustration today was after I had said in my previous video how I was so relieved that someone taught me backing in a way that was really simple, having to yet again work with a different instructor. Every day it's a different instructor, and the training from one instructor to the next is so inconsistent to the point that instructors contradict each other, which is really a problem in my opinion when you're depending on their assessments of you to pass you through to going out on the road with your trainer and actually getting one step closer to being on your own. I have to sneeze. But anyway, I don't even know what to say. I was just so frustrated because I felt so much more comfortable with backing after the really positive experience that I had yesterday. And one of the things that I think is important when it comes to learning new skills is consistency. And when you're learning something that involves a new set of skills that's motor based, so there's like the cognitive component where you're understanding the action that you have to take, and then there's a motor component where your physical body has to interact with another physical or machine rather, and that machine needs to become an extension of your brain essentially, so you're proprioceptively interacting with a large piece of heavy machinery. Having inconsistency in the learning process is going to inhibit your progress, and I think that is just basic brain science probably. So if one person is teaching it one way and then the next person comes along and says, oh, I know that's frustrating, they teach it differently than me, this is how I want you to do it. And then the next person comes along and says, okay, let's do this skill. Okay, do this, now do this, now do this. And every person is telling you something different. And then on top of that, they're adding their own ego-based, emotional sort of color to the experience. So they're adding a layer of unnecessary mental clutter to the person who is trying to learn a new skill. That is unproductive, and it prevents the person from being able to make faster progress. So that's my very polite and diplomatic way of saying that shit was fucked up and I'm not okay with it. I had to stop filming for a minute because my dad called, actually for about an hour. And we had a really nice conversation, and a trucker friend of mine and my dad have both been really helpful in talking me through the stress that I'm going through, keeping things in perspective, because this is just the way training tends to be, I think. I think that it is just kind of the nature of the beast. Teaching people is an art. Not everyone is natural at that, but I think it's one of those things where you need really strict kind of systems in place so that everyone is on the exact same page and is teaching a set of skills with consistency and with a minimum of ego. You know, it's funny because it makes me think that one of the things that I'm not used to yet, but I think is just a fact of the trucking industry that is always going to rub me the wrong way, is there are a lot of people in this industry, both newer and more seasoned people in the industry, who are operating from a place of ego at all times. You encounter these types of ego trips throughout the industry, and I think there's a part of me when, you know, I channel my empathic side or empathetic side. I never know if it's right to say the word empathic. But when I channel that side of myself and I try to really understand the underlying feelings that lead to that type of behavior, what I think is it's kind of natural when people go through hell in their work life for a period of time to just be like, have a sense of pride about it and have a sense of ego, where some of it might be warranted. But like, to me, the more badass a person is, the more humble they should come across, because there's nothing more awesome to me than someone who's amazing at what they do, but then just as humble as they are successful. That is like super impressive and cool to me when someone is capable of being that way. That's the kind of teacher I want to learn from. Someone who has that quiet confidence, someone who is like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do. You know, not someone who has to like put on a certain persona or try to impress you, because that shit is not impressive. That is just irritating. I don't want to harp on things. I don't want to seem like I'm kind of repeatedly complaining, because no one wants to fucking listen to that. You guys who are watching this, those of you who are truckers, you already know. You don't need me to tell you, that's for sure. Because I always say I want to share my authentic experience and perspective as a new person in this industry, and I want you to hear it from me. Just this is how it's going, you know. And I always want to turn it back to the positive, and a lot of what I've been thinking about is all of this stuff is going to make me better. All of this stuff is going to make me stronger. This is how I'm going to learn the things I need to know. And when I look back on this, it's going to look like a blip, like a short period of time. It's funny how when you're in a situation, it can feel like this eternal, like, stress shit. That's one of the things I use to help me in life. That is one of the most helpful skills I've acquired, like thinking skills, is what I call zooming out. And it's like looking at a situation from a point in the future. And the times in my life when I was like going hard in the stress fest in my brain and like just diving into the worries and all that stuff, did that ever help me get through a situation? And do I ever look back on those times and like think to myself, man, I'm glad I did that? No, I don't even remember it, you know. But in the moment, I like aged myself stressing out. I don't have to do that. I can just sort of take it in stride, learn to laugh at myself, learn to laugh at people who operate from ego, because unfortunately it's a very small place to come from, and no one needs to do that to themselves or others, you know. And just try my best to use all of this to learn, because that's what life is all about. Every day, every moment, every interaction is an opportunity to learn. And if you're getting yourself caught up in being pissed at stuff, which I do because I'm human, but I want to try to stop doing that as much. So let me end this video by saying it's all going to be cool. Everything's fine. This too shall pass. This is how we learn. Yada, yada, all that good stuff. So one quick note I want to leave you with. If you have watched This Guy Trucks, and that's how you found my channel initially, which plenty of people did, you may have seen that we are joining forces and trying to get some other people involved as well to create a trucking community that Josh is going to share on his channel and to his much broader audience than mine. So I have a video introducing myself on that channel, and what you will notice if you watch that video is that it's oddly silent in the beginning and the end, which is because we needed to go back and edit out the music, and it's kind of a long story short situation, but I use a great service. If you make content, you should check it out. It's called Epidemic Sound. They have music that you pay a monthly fee for, and you can use their music for YouTube or for other social media without getting your stuff flagged for copyright infringement. Unfortunately, when I uploaded that video for Josh for his channel, I didn't realize that I didn't have the type of subscription that would allow me to upload to more than one channel. So the music had to be taken out. So in the future, in the near future probably, when you see my videos on Josh's channel, sadly, they won't have my characteristic cool music. And I really enjoy the editing process, and I love putting music in because it's sort of my way of putting a vibe in there, and I really am selective about the music I put in. So you'll still have the music on the videos that show on my channels. Please keep watching my channel, but look at This Guy Trucks. And I think he changed the name of the channel too, by the way. It's like This Guy Trucks Trucking Community or something like that. But as I always say, I really appreciate you watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to be notified of when my new videos come out. And that's some nasally singing for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.